Good morning. Happy Wellness Wednesday, everyone. My name is Bryan the Botanist, and today's Wellness Wednesday special guest is Luis Mesa at Infinite Being 315. Luis is a Live Ultimate Ambassador. He's a higher quality of life influencer. He's got a very good attitude in how he approaches holistic health. He's a father of 4. He's been married for 23 years. He's going to share some knowledge today with us. His name is Luis Mesa. He's my special guest. So sit back and relax and get to know a good friend of ours, Luis Mesa. I see him just joined right now. And Happy New Year, everyone. This is the first Wellness Wednesday of 2021. Exciting to be in a new year. Here comes Luis. Luis, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
How are you, sir?
How you doing?
I'm great. Yeah, happy 2021.
Happy 2021, man.
Yeah. Awesome. What's your day been like so far? Getting your wellness on?
Yeah, I start off my day with my elixir, That's how I start off my day.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and tag you right now in the chat section here so people can learn more about you. Your Instagram is Infinite Being 315.
Yes.
Luis Mesa is my special guest today, is our special guest. So Luis, tell us about, your health story. I want to just jump right into it. What is your story like? Did something happen in your life? Because I've been following you on Instagram and I know you as a Live Ultimate Ambassador, but I don't know what got you started as a health influencer and as a higher quality of life. You basically are raising the vibration out there. I see in your stories and your Instagram and in your attitude that you and I want to hear just how this all got started and then learn more about you.
All right, man. Well, first of all, man, before I get into that, I wanna thank you. I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity.
You're welcome.
I also want to say, man, I want to compliment you and let people know that you look way better. Like your skin.
Oh, stop it.
Shines in person. Seriously, it shines. Like
you're just buttering me up now. You know how to make a host feel good.
Hey man, I remember watching a live and I remember somebody commenting on your skin. And I had just started taking the elixir and then started taking, so I started using the facial products and stuff and I'm like, man, that's the way it's supposed to be, so.
Well, I appreciate that, but I feel like, we all have our challenges. For me, I'm from the Midwest originally, and the sun is very powerful in Miami, and I'm a runner, so I took a fair amount of sun, over the last 10 years living here without really knowing a lot about sun safety till about 5 years ago. We'll get into that in a little bit about skin safety and all that stuff, but in the last 5 years, I've gotten a huge education from Live Ultimate and with our skin nutrition collection, and there's so much to learn, and the earlier you learn it, the better, obviously. But yeah, so let's jump right in. Like, tell us more about what got you started in your health path. I know you're a father of 4. You've been married for 23 years. I saw you're a financial freedom investor. I want to hear more about that. Sounds like you're an entrepreneur, of course, with Live Ultimate, and a health advocate. What got you started in all this?
Man, so basically, I guess I can say pain got me started, pain.
Wow.
Sometimes we have what I call these things, that the back burner syndrome, We keep these things in the back burner and we keep on ignoring and we're experts at ignoring the things that we have to do,
Mm-hmm.
And just ignoring just led me to this, which means I was trying to live a life that was somebody else's life, not mine, That's the best way I can explain it. I was living a life that was filled with just wanting money and money and money, and I couldn't find a fulfillment, man.
So easy to get caught up in that. So easy.
Yeah. No matter what I do.
Programs us to want to have the big house, everything that goes along with it, and
yeah.
But it doesn't make us happy, does it? No. doesn't
It really doesn't.
As a
It really
father,
doesn't.
as a husband, you can tell us, I'm sure, someday I hope to be a father and a husband. So I'm looking up to you, man. You got it all. When did this happen? When did you like wake up to become a health warrior? How
Man,
long?
so I would say somewhere around 2010, I had a panic attack. I had a huge panic attack in the middle of the highway. I was driving, and I had a huge panic attack, man. And that was the scariest thing. I don't know if you've ever had one of those, if you know of somebody who has had those, but
Well, actually, I actually do suffer from panic attacks occasionally. It's usually when I'm not healthy because of some type of lack of sleep but I actually had them when I was a little kid too. I'm prone to anxiety and panic attacks. So I do take certain botanicals and supplements that help with, anxiety. And I've had a panic attack as recently as in the last year. They're very scary, especially, with driving. I've never had one. Usually it happens to me when I wake up from a nap. That's what triggers me.
yeah, I knew that one.
When I'm still in
Yeah.
a waking state. Yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us, you were driving in the highway and you.
It started trickling, so which means it started off with a little panic attack here and there, but that was like the massive one. So when I had that one, then the fear really kicked in, and I just I said I gotta do something. So you go to the doctor, and obviously the first thing they prescribe is medication. So I went and I actually followed what they told me. I actually followed, and I started taking my antidepressants. And I don't. It actually changed my life. A lot of people say don't take medication, but I think the medication part actually it's a temporary, fix to actually going inside of you and noticing that you actually do have an issue, that there's actually something going on.
Sure.
And
yeah, pharmaceuticals can't help heal you overall. They're just going to help with the brain chemicals. And my mom was a pharmacist, and I do know about antidepressants. I tried one shortly in my high school years, but just quickly learned how to deal with things without medication, like exercise and attitude. But so you tried being medicated, and what happened then?
And then, like I said, it led me to understanding that I had an issue, but it led me to a higher understanding that I was blocking a lot of things. I was blocking a lot of things, and I realized that the main thing that I was looking for was happiness, and I just couldn't find it. I couldn't find it because I was stuck in that program of doing the things that society was telling me to do, or what my friends were telling me to do, or what my environment was telling me to do. And I wasn't being me. I wasn't being me. So that's when the journey starts, when you start to ask the questions, what makes me happy? What is my purpose here in life? And the journey started, man. And the journey started by looking for love, by looking for love. And I knew there was a connection there in between feeling, that connection of love and that connection of finding happiness. That's it. That's what it's mainly about, just
love
finding
everywhere,
happiness.
like love in your community, love self-love, relationships. Is this everything? Was love just lacking in your life?
Well, I mean, what I realized with time, obviously, was that I guess I should start by saying I lost my parents at a very early age. So I lost my mom when I was 10, pretty much in a car accident, almost right in front of me.
Oh my God.
And I lost my father when I was about 23. Okay.
Wow.
So, but I realized, that there was something that I was missing, because, like I said, stuff that you keep on leaving in that back burner, and you don't realize that it's affecting you.
Sure.
So with time, I didn't realize right away, but with time, I realized that that love that I was searching for was actually my mother.
Yeah.
Because once you start meditating, once you start meditating, and once you start doing these things, then all of a sudden, the things start to
They
appear.
come
They
up, they
start,
come up. Yeah, yeah. That's what
yeah,
they
they
say. The
come up.
more I saw that yesterday on Instagram, one of my friends said, once you start meditating, get ready for stuff to come up because you're basically stop ignoring it. You're gonna start to, if you've
Yeah,
never,
man.
been experienced in meditation and you need to deal with these things, it does get better, right? I mean, that's the good news. It gets better.
Yeah, it does
Yeah.
get better.
I saw
Definitely,
your
definitely.
Instagram stories yesterday, and they're really inspiring about, your story about Starbucks, when someone paid for your drink just by letting them walk in front of you. They might have been in a hurry, or you let them go first, and then they bought you your drink. That's
Yeah,
cool.
it's amazing how that
Paying it
works out.
forward. Yeah, that's just, how contagious happiness is.
It
So
is.
really cool. So like, tell us about your background then, like more about you. When this happened, how did you equip yourself, and what has your life been like since in the last 10 years?
I mean, dude, after that, I went into major depression. I went into major depression, and that pain of me trying to just trying to fill that void. Like, what is it? What is it? What's going on? Just looking. It led me to listening. It led me to listening, and I ran into, through social media. I ran into Ralph Smart. So I don't know if you know Ralph Smart, Infinite Waters.
No, I don't.
Okay. So I ran into him through social media, and that just started to, it's that personal development thing. Once you start awakening, you start looking for answers, and they appear. Like they say, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So all of a sudden, I started listening to that, and listening to him, and he said, why don't you try plants? Why don't you try plants?
Sure.
Why don't you try? Because there's something inside of you called the pineal gland, which needs to be cleansed,
Yes.
and it needs to be decalcified. And once you do that, you will start to find all the answers inside of you. So once I started taking plants so in 2016, so from 2010 to 2016, it was madness. It was madness. I mean, I ran into a bunch of problems. I just, pain, a lot of pain, a lot of pain. I can't say anything else. A lot of pain. I made
Okay.
major mistakes, and which are not mistakes, obviously, because,
Yeah.
it's just part of the journey. And all of a sudden, man, I went vegan 2016.
Oh, wow.
And when I went vegan 2016, that's when all of a sudden everything started to come up, man. Everything started to come up. You keep on listening to these videos to different people, to different mentors, and they start, explaining their journey and what they're doing, and you start practicing those new habits, those new rituals, and and all of a sudden, man, things just start changing. You start to wake up everything inside of you. Start to become a kid again. I started to become a kid again. I wanted to skateboard. I wanted to play a
Nice.
saxophone. I wanted to, whatever it might be. I just wanted to do everything. It's like I became freaking 7 years old again. Like I'm
Yep.
like, you're more alive than ever, and and all of a sudden, all that stuff starts to come up. But the biggest thing is just, starting to go in that inner work, man, and it takes you there. And I'm so thankful for plants, so thankful for plants because, you
Amen.
know,
Give it
yeah,
up for plants.
yeah,
No, I'm the same way. I believe that all the medicine that humanity needs is in the earth naturally. And sure, there's a need for some pharmaceuticals. My mom was a pharmacist for 35 years. It boggles my mind. My older brother was an organic farmer, and I love my mom to death. She's the most amazing mom in the world. She's never yelled at me. She's been the kindest, sweetest, most gentle mom in the world. And she doesn't tell you how it is, with pharmacy, but she worked in a hospital. So if I have any questions about prescription drugs and herbal medicine, and she takes all of our products for every single day. She's 72, but it's such a conflicted feeling for me because even with panic attacks, she was recommending the other day if I had them continuously, I should be going to get potentially medication. But I told her, Mom, I don't believe in taking a prescription drug for something that is more about lifestyle and more about holistic, mindfulness and, coping and, just knowing how to handle stress better and, knowing how to breathe, knowing how to meditate in the morning, as you said, is so important, and just start your day right and get your boat on the right path. So yeah, I hear you. Pharmaceuticals are, it's not that they're bad, it's just that they're overly, our system is broken is what it is. And there's good people, there's good pharmacists, there's good doctors. There's even good drugs, it's not about good and bad. I mean, this is like my little soapbox moment here.
Yeah.
But, this is a big discussion point, like prescription drugs versus natural medicine. We're not doctors. We can't tell someone who's on 10 prescription drugs to just stop it all and just take maca and mushrooms and you're going to be fine, but absolutely, if you're healthy, take the maca and the mushrooms, and it's going to keep you healthy. And I think the biggest thing is always do your own research, right?
Yes.
A lot of people don't do any research and they just take their doctor's word for it. And there's so many types of doctors out there. There's naturopathic doctors. There's so many doctors out there. Some have tremendous knowledge on plant medicine or on mushrooms or on CBD. Other doctors say, oh, CBD, don't take it unless, you're certain that it's, and you got to make sure it's third-party tested, of course. But we know that the knowledge out there isn't as strong as it should be in the medical community for natural cures. So tell us what helped you, with your battle with depression and with, I'm hearing a lot about mentoring and about morning routines, rituals, you start your day with greens. What other practices?
Right now I start my day with, again, it's a whole, how it is. You don't get to, it takes steps. It takes different steps. So when you start, there's a lot of information. There's so much information out there, and it's just you get bombarded with information. So you end up choosing one path, which leads you to another path, but at the end, you always end up in the same path. At the end, you end up in real food. What is real food? So the top, the top for everything, the top level is real food, is real organic food. That's the way I see it. It's just you start. It's a process. So on a physical level, when it comes to eating and when it comes to doing that, you start off with you go to Vitamin Shop and you go to GNC and you start taking the supplements.
Sure.
Whatever supplements, and that's the beginning. That's that awakening. You're like, okay, I got to do something. I gotta change. Just like on a mental level. So I split it into two, or basically three. You have the mental health. You have the physical health, and then you have your spiritual identity health. So it means it's you're spiritual, but you're connecting. When I say spiritual, I mean you're connecting with yourself.
Okay, your higher self.
Your higher self, and with yourself, that it's kind of like we're two people, in a way, where that those thoughts is that other person inside of you, your higher self, that's actually telling you do this, don't do that. It's trying to protect you, all this stuff. Then you have your physical health. So when it comes to mental health, to me, if people are going through depression, they're going through anxiety, they're going through panic attacks, they're going through all this stuff, it's either one of three things. You're traumatized from something in your past that you can't get away from. You have a chemical imbalance because of your food, something like that, or you're living a life that you're not supposed to be living. So that's the way I see it. Those three things. So wow. That's the mental health part. In the physical health part, then there's the part of minerals. Minerals. We are just like trees. I do my organic gardening and stuff, and you realize that it's all about the soil. Mm-hmm. It's all about the soil. So in our body, what is it? It's all about our intestines, which is our soil.
Our substrate. Yeah, our microbiome. I saw you posting about microbiome too. And I want to get into the organic farming stuff. Don't let me forget. I want to talk about your organic garden. But absolutely, raw foods grown in good soil have enzymes. Well, all raw foods have enzymes, which we're big fans of enzymes here at Live Ultimate. They're in our super elixir. They're in the ultimate elixir. They're in raw foods. Any type of uncooked food, fruits and vegetables in the skin. Those enzymes are so important for digestion and utilization of the vitamins and the minerals. But then, when you grow things organically in good soil, you get a different, just like mushrooms, if you grow them on wood logs versus brown rice, you get different compounds. You get the full spectrum of what you should be getting. Like when I went to Guatemala one time, this is a good example. Like I had beets there that were grown in volcanic soil by the Mayans that were like sacred beets. I've never seen anything like it. They were like this big. And they were just like the most beautiful organic beets. And same thing in Peru and Hawaii and these crazy soils they got, and it's wild to see what the earth can produce when it's given the best possible substrate.
Man,
we don't have the best soil here in Miami, but we got to supplement our soil, but it's okay.
Yeah.
I'm from the Midwest where we have 7 feet of topsoil, so it's a little spoiled, but I think we can grow some amazing things down here. They can't grow moringa, papayas, all the fruits.
That's the beauty of it. Yeah, that's the beauty of it. It's the the climate allows you to do so much stuff.
Cool. So your diet, you were talking about physical as a diet, and then spiritual. Did we address that one yet?
It's there's balance, right? Balance. Yeah. Life takes balance. Yeah. The universe wants to balance everything out. Our body's trying to balance everything out. Everything is just trying to balance itself.
Sure.
We're not doing anything, right?
Yeah.
It's doing it itself. Yeah. We help it. But in reality, it does it itself. The universe fixes itself by itself. Our body fixes itself by itself. This is why love is the first thing that we need to be in touch with. We need to have self-love. We need to have love for the universe, love for the planet, love for other people. And that's how we grow.
So true. When people don't have love, they get, it's apathy. You see that's when the self-destructiveness comes out, and also violence towards others, unfortunately, and the planet, or just a complete disregard, if not violence, just a complete disregard for caring about the future, whether it's your own future, if it's self-love, or the planet, which you mentioned, which is so important. So many people aren't thinking, politicians and people, about 7 generations from now, or even just 2 generations, like what the earth could be like at 2100 if we don't, take big changes like the Paris Accord, which, I wish that all the nations that have the wealth, would get behind, instead of seeing it as, something handcuffing them. They could see it as innovation and leading the world in green energy. You know what I mean?
I'm so sorry. I got my little doggies outside barking a little bit.
Oh, it's okay. I'm a big animal lover. That's awesome. That's okay. So yeah.
So I mean, like I said, it's balance, right? But like you were saying, why don't people see those things? People don't see those things because they don't have mental clarity. So the biggest thing we could have is mental clarity, because we're in a fog. Most human beings are in a fog. They're in a fog of programming. They're in a fog of whatever society's telling them to do. They're in a fog of going to work. They're in a fog of eating foods that are slowly but surely just closing them up more and more and more. So it's like the more you start. So this is where plants come in. This is where superfoods come in. They start to cleanse. So many people don't know about the pineal gland.
Let's talk about that. Yeah. Let's talk about that.
People,
yeah.
So
that basically gets polluted, but it gets polluted by things like fluoride, I've heard, and also calcification of the pineal gland, and just certain foods, but also water, if it's not pure,
exactly.
And also do you know of other substances? Is it also like fast food and just really processed foods in general, like lower vibrational foods? Because one fascinating thing is you can measure the vibration of food, and organic food is living.
Exactly. I mean, it just the way that it shows up, in my opinion, is when you start to decalcify. That's when you realize how calcified you were. So I mean, I'll give you a perfect example of how people, I'll give you a perfect example of how people don't know about this pineal gland. I was an X-ray technician. I became an X-ray technician in 1997, and I started doing X-rays and MRIs. Okay.
Wow.
And when I would take those films to the doctors, to the radiologists to read, I would ask them, "What's that white thing in the middle of the brain?" And they would be like, "Oh, That's just normal calcification that everybody gets. You get, like, you know, so now when
pretty much everyone has it. That's what they're saying. That's
everybody has it. Yeah. So it's like, okay, it's already showing up in the films. Why don't you see that as something that is abnormal? It's not normal. They call it normal. It's normal to see that calcification. No, you're not. Your pineal gland is not supposed to be calcified. Okay, and that's once you start cleansing, it's all about that. Because once you cleanse your pineal gland, once you start decalcifying that, that's when you move into yourself. That's when you start to realize who you are. That's when happiness starts to actually, that's when everything just starts to, that's when mental clarity happens. And when mental clarity happens, that's when you can make the better choices of eating better, you get me? Like, it's
well, it's a third eye. So let's explain just to those who aren't, aware. The pineal gland is your third eye, and it's part of your brain. And it's I'm looking to get the exact function right now off of Google, but it is part of the endocrine system in your brain of most vertebrates. So all animals with the spine have it. It produces melatonin. It's in your brain, and it's part of your hormonal system. It's a serotonin. Oh, it produces melatonin, which is from serotonin. That's a hormone that modulates your sleep patterns. The shape of a pineal gland resembles a pine cone, from which it derives its name. The pineal gland is located in the epithalamus, near the center of the brain, between the two hemispheres, tucked in a groove where the two halves of the thalamus join. The pineal gland is one of the neuroendocrine secretory circumventricular organs, in which capillaries are mostly permeable to solutes in the blood. So yeah, nearly all vertebrates possess one. Yeah, they're doing evolutionary biology research on it. Photoreceptor, it's a kind of atrophied photoreceptor, and that it's a light. Okay, this is interesting. But René Descartes, a great philosopher, French-born philosopher, mathematician, and scientist, he believed the human pineal gland to be the principal seat of the soul. Academic philosophy among his contemporaries considered the pineal gland as a neuroanatomical structure without special metaphysical qualities. Science studied it as one endocrine gland among many. That's just on Wikipedia, obviously. But anyways, yeah, like it's in the center of your brain, and it helps with your sleep patterns. So you don't want it calcified no matter what. A lot of people think it's your link to your soul or to your third eye. I mean, it's literally right here in the center of your head. And I know that chaga mushroom decalcifies the pineal gland. That's a proven fact.
I mean, I'll give you a story about the mushrooms, right? So I mean, I love the elixir, man. But I mean, my thing is the mushroom. I mean, my wife got me my wife got me this shirt.
Oh my God, I love it. That's awesome. That is one of the coolest shirts I've seen in a while.
All right. So yeah, I love it. I love it. She surprised me with it. I got emotional when she brought it.
Oh my God. That's so cool.
So it just, when I started taking the mushrooms. So first of all, let me say hi to my niece Vicky.
Yeah, give some shout outs.
Vicky Lopez, she's, I mean, what can I say? Vicky, I love you, Vicky. Vicky is just, she's one in a million. My niece is so awesome. And she's just that gentle soul that always knows what to say at the right moment. And just, and she introduced me to this. And before I got introduced to this, I was spending like $200 on different supplements, of different bags of different things, and none of them were organic anyways. So I was spending all this money, and then she started posting this stuff, and I'm like, how come you haven't told me anything about this? What's going on? So when I looked, I'm like, this is perfection. Like, Live Ultimate is perfection. This is like the I mean. Yeah. You can't get any better than this. If I could just explain this to humanity, but the problem is that it's, there's no mental clarity, and people just go through their phases,
They got to go through it. They got to figure it out on their own sometimes. But yeah, it's so simple. I mean, it's in the sense of it's 30 seconds. It's all in one bottle. You get raw with no fillers, no preservatives, no sugars, no flavors, nothing except for 25 raw superfoods. And that way you're getting it every single day consistently. You know, and if you need more of something like, you know, more zinc or more vitamin C, then absolutely you need a strong diet too. But the elixir is a great way to start your day because it also detoxifies you. Like the chlorella and spirulina and reishi and all the great herbs in there. It all helps with, especially the greens though, help, I think, with detoxifying you in the morning, you know. But that's awesome. So shout out to Vicky. We're gonna have to have Vicky on in the future. So that's how you learned about Live Ultimate. And when did you join? When did you start taking the elixir?
That's how I learned. I also want to give a quick shout out to Yuli. Yuli is awesome. That girl is she's very powerful. She's very powerful. And
Yuli,
you know,
Fernandez?
I'm part of her team, you know.
Yuli Fernandez, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I know Yuli. Hi, Yuli.
Hi. So
what's up, all of our friends out there? Yeah, everyone. Yep. Guys, share some questions that you have for Luis here. I just bought the elixir and I'm literally so obsessed. Someone just said, someone said, "Yay, Vicky," and Vicky says, "Hi, love that shirt." Great. So awesome.
So I mean, when I started taking the mushrooms, right? Yeah. I started taking the mushrooms, and I was already in this journey. You know, it was 2020. I started taking it, you know, but around March, I would say. So I started taking the mushrooms, and all of a sudden, I called Vicky. I said, "Vicky, I can't take these things anymore. You know, I have this pressure in my head, and I can't take it. You know." And she's like, "Well, Theo, you know, that's exactly what should be happening. You know, you're so clean that." You know, she hears me talking all the time. She's like, "That's your pineal gland. You know, you're decalcifying, but you're already so clean that you're feeling the effects of the mushrooms because you become receptive. You know, the more you cleanse your mind and the more you cleanse your body, the more receptive and the more sensitive you become to things."
Absolutely. Yep.
You know? So when I started getting that pressure, it's like, okay, reduce it to half. And then, you know, let your body get used to it. And you, so that's what I did. But man, now I don't know if I'm doing the right thing, but it feels good. So I keep doing it. I take double dosages of the mushroom. I take it in the morning and I take it in the afternoon.
Okay. Yeah, that's good because then you're getting a lot of therapeutic benefits. I learned from one of our top mushroom experts that some people take 5 to 12 grams of reishi a day, of fresh reishi. And our formula is 3 grams of dehydrated mushroom extracts of 8 species. So you get half a gram of each species. Now, half a gram of extracted reishi is probably equivalent to like 3 to 5 grams of fresh reishi because of the water weight.
Okay. Yeah.
So you could take it twice a day. I've never taken it more than 2 or 3 times in a day, and that's when I'm working a festival or some reason to be up all day and night and just on your feet, not eating, you know. And if you're not eating and you're fasting, then you're going to need some type of, support. And this is great for fasting support. Have you done much fasting with it?
Oh, yeah, man. And speaking of fasting, right? So I do juicing. I do my fast every once in a while. So my wife was the type of person, shout out to my wife, man. My wife is my savior, man. My wife is my Jesus, okay? My wife is, she, you know, like I don't know if you've ever like gone into the Tao or, you know, the Tao Te Ching or any of that. But, you know, Dr. Wayne Dyer, I don't know if you know Dr. Wayne Dyer, but he led me to that, you know, to the Tao. And it's just, you know, it's like it says, you know, the Tao does nothing but leaves nothing undone. And that is my wife, man. My wife does nothing, but she does so much by doing nothing. She's just pure love, man. She's pure love. She's always doing something for me or for somebody, or she doesn't need to prove herself to anybody. She's not, you know, she says, "I admire you for being the way you are," you know, but I tell her the same thing. I admire you because it's like, man, you're just so gentle, and just like Vicky is, you know, they're so gentle and so calm, but at the same time, they're resolving all the problems in the world, I think, you know, it's like they're walking around this realm, just solving every single problem without even like putting any effort. It's effortless for them.
Yeah,
You know,
that's just part of their spirit. That's amazing.
You know, it's incredible.
It sounds like you have a very strong family. Can we jump into the family section for a second? So you're a father of 4 kids, is that right?
Father of 4 kids, yeah, man.
What ages? I got a couple questions about kids.
So I have 15, 14, 11, and 9.
Oh wow, okay. So they're all still at home, and those are all like they're all in that age where you can go on a trip together. I grew up in a family of 4 boys. Do you have a mix of boys and girls, or?
Yes, we're 6 brothers and sisters.
Okay.
My siblings, 6 brothers and sisters. Yeah, I mean I'm talking about my but I mean my kids is just 2 girls and 2 boys. Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect. Okay. Okay, I got a couple of quick questions. Do the kids like the elixir or the shrooms? Any of them?
Well, you know, kids are tough. Kids are tough. But I'm going to tell you a story about my daughter, my oldest daughter. You know, you start at that age, you start going through the menstrual cycle and the whole bit, and what happens, you know? So she started having, you know, not malfunctions, but imbalance in the cycle. So I started adding elixir to her shake. Without her even knowing, I would just add it. You know, she started drinking protein shake because she wanted to work out and this and that. So I started just, you know, sticking it in there without her even knowing. And all of a sudden, you know, the cycle started, you know, perfect again. So now she's off it. Now she's off it again because she's just, you know, that's what she wants to do right now. But she's realizing that she's got to go back into it, you know, and because it just, your body needs that. It needs those minerals. It needs those supplements. If you're eating a certain way, your body needs to detoxify. Your body needs to go back into balance.
Is your whole family vegan, or are you the only vegan?
My wife and I. Okay, so I went from vegan to vegetarian in the sense that I have fish every once in a while.
Okay.
So. And I was a terrible vegan. I was a terrible vegan. I you know, it was all processed vegan stuff and it was terrible. I was a terrible vegan until pretty much IIN, pretty much, you know, I went into IIN and then that just, yeah. So that,
okay, we didn't talk about that yet. So you were certified by the Institute of Integrative Nutrition.
Yes.
Wow. I've heard so much about it. It's a big movement in our ambassador family. So you have a couple more questions.
Yeah, we kind of we went off track. Yeah, so I was talking about my family.
Yeah. Well, let's get into IIN in a second. But go ahead. I had a quick question. Like, as a father, how can you help them, you know, form good decisions without forcing them to, you know, take on good nutrition? I mean, if you tell them it's good for them, I mean, it's good for them. For instance, the elixir. Lead by example. So you don't force it on them. You don't say you have to drink this.
No.
Okay.
No, they usually don't want to do what you do. They want to learn it for themselves, just like we were the same way as a kid, you know. Sure. And they want to. They get to it because all of a sudden, you know, when you do talk is when they're down. Mm-hmm. When they come to you and they're like, man, I feel bad, or I feel sad, or I feel weak, or when they get a cold, when they get a bad cold, sure. You know, and I tell them, I haven't had a cold since 2016. And I used to get a cold every 3 months, you know, or every 2 months. I always had a cold before I started my journey with plants, you know, and it was like, and I've never had a cold again. I've never had the flu. I've never had any of that since 2016.
Wow.
So that just lets you know, is it coincidental? I don't think so, man.
No. Eating good diet. So you're a gardener. You have a nice garden in near your home?
It's in my backyard. So I actually took it down now because my wife wanted to restructure the yard and stuff, and so we're restructuring, and I'm going to put some beds in the back of I had it like on the side of the yard, a bunch of garden beds, and then she wanted to restructure, And I get it, you know, because you want the house to look a certain way, and I get it, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm just preparing. So that way we create a happy medium, you know. She gets her part, I get my part, and you know, we share our yard in our way. But yeah, man,
what do you grow?
Greens, mainly greens, and then we like what we cook with, you know, and so I use kale, arugula. Being Cuban, we're Cuban, so we do a lot of black beans, and the black beans we use cachucha peppers. So I like to grow the cachucha peppers. So I mean, that's pretty much it. I wanted to start getting into strawberries.
Yeah, South Florida, we do a good job with things like peppers and anything that likes drier soil and hot heat in the summer. I mean, the microgreens, those greens are hard to grow down here unless it's in the winter, like spinach and, you know, from the Midwest, it needs those cold mornings in the 30s and 40s, which I heard you talking about on Instagram the other day, is these Miami winter mornings, which are like 55 degrees and it's like super beautiful. What part of Miami do you live in, Luis?
I live right off of Coral Gables.
Okay, cool. I love Coral Gables.
It's what we call the Cuban Coral Gables.
Okay, is that the part by like Little Havana that's more like on the north side of Coral Gables, north of Miracle Mile?
If you know Southwest 8th Street, I live right off of Southwest 8th Street.
Sure, yep. Awesome, okay. Oh, that's a beautiful area. And so you have a garden there and your family, and okay, so I want to just cover a couple quick more topics. We still have another 15 minutes or so, and I love this conversation, so let's keep it going. Tell me about the final part of your bio, which is the financial freedom investor.
Yeah, man. So basically, in this journey, I mean, I realized that there has to be a balance in life, right? You can't. When I started my journey with plants, and I started trying to search for this happiness, you kind of like leave money aside. So I went from only money, you know, only money, everything, money, because that's what society was telling you. If you don't have money, you're nobody, you know. So then I went from money to going spiritual and healthy, spiritual healthy. And then where's the balance? You're still living here. You're living in a material world, and you still got to do what you got to do. So I always had an entrepreneurship mentality in a way, you know, since I was a kid. But all of a sudden I said, okay, I want to do this right. And I had been investing back and forth with friends of mine in real estate and rehabbing homes and stuff like that. So I ran into Grant Cardone. I don't know if you ever heard of Grant Cardone.
Absolutely, yeah, we're big Grant Cardone fans here.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So I ran into Grant Cardone, you know, again, you know, just mentorship, more mentorship. So I have my mentors. So I have my health mentors, which are, you know, Dr. Sebi.
Or Sebi, yeah, right? That's how my girlfriend says, Dr. Sebi, I think, yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Sebi is like pretty much my biggest, you know, health mentor, and you know,
wow,
for myself. And then spiritual, it's Sadhguru. So
sure.
So then in money, it's Grant Cardone.
Okay.
I said, okay, let me go on ahead, and I started. So every day I would listen to a little bit of everything just to create that balance. So I started listening to Grant Cardone, and then Grant Cardone, pretty much just in between Grant Cardone and Robert Kiyosaki, right? Pretty much, they tell you, why don't you have your money work for you instead of you working so hard for your money?
Absolutely.
That's basically what it's about. It's about making money, keeping it, learning how to make more money, keeping it, and actually doubling up and multiplying your money. But in order to multiply your money, what do you have to do? You automatically have to become an investor. You have to invest. But it's just like your body. If you want your body to grow, if you want your mind to grow, if you want to do anything, you got to become an investor, right? You got to invest in your body, you got to invest in your mind, and you got to invest in your money. That's it. It's just, it's common sense once you get to it, but our mental clarity is not there. So it's just until you don't cleanse your mind, until you don't cleanse your gut, until you don't cleanse your heart, you will not become receptive. We need to become receptive. The problem is we're not receptive to the information because we have all that mental fog, and our pineal gland is cleansed. So we're not getting the information. We're not receiving it. We're just roaming around every single day doing exactly the same thing, going to work, coming home, you know, and you just don't get out of that vicious circle, and then you don't grow. You don't grow financially, you don't grow spiritually, you don't grow in your health. So you end up stuck. And we don't want to live life like that. And the only thing that wakes us up is when something hits you, a car accident or a death or something tragic, and that's when it wakes you up. And still, even then, it only wakes you up for a little bit, man. You know?
That's true.
And
so
it's
that's
like,
why it's important to have like a good mentor that teaches you like daily practices, like so that you can master your life in all these different areas. Like you said, financial, nutritional, spiritual,
well, the
relationship wise,
yeah, the mentorship, what happens is what goes in your ears, what goes in your eyes, what goes in your nose, what goes in your mouth creates thought, right? And that thought creates emotion. And when that thought creates emotion, then what happens? You act on it. So if you're receiving the right information, if you're receptive and you're receiving the right information, it just becomes common sense. And then now you become inspired. And when you become inspired, what happens? You start to do the right things. You start to make the right choices. You start doing the right, better rituals. You get me? You just start with the better rituals. Yep. And that's the sustainability. You know, it has to be sustainable. It can't just be that you do it for a week and that's it.
Sure.
So, and that's what listening does. When you listen the first hour, Jim Quick, I don't know if you ever heard of Jim Quick.
Yep, I follow him. Yeah, I like Jim Quick.
You know, so Jim Quick, like he says, your first hour and your last hour, that's the most important. You know, so what are you doing on your first hour? What are you doing in your last hour? So that you can, so your first hour, you take care of that. On your way to work, you start listening to something instead of listening to some nonsense. You start listening to things that are gonna motivate you. So in other words, I do audible books. I don't read books. I do audible books because I'm always on the road. So I do my audible when I'm driving. You know, some people can do it while they're running, if they're working out, whatever it is. But just to stimulate your mind, to stimulate so that you know, like I say, it's about quality of life. Why we're here for a little while, man. Why can't we raise our quality? Why don't we become conscious of raising our quality of life? Why do we have to wait for something bad to happen? When it's just as simple as taking in plants, cleansing your pineal gland, cleansing your gut so that you can get the mental clarity to be who you're supposed to be and live life in the way that you're supposed to live it instead of living it programmed.
Absolutely. You know? Amen.
Yeah, man, that's the way I see it, man.
Clean out the gut, clean out your mind, and get strong and motivate yourself every day. Your first hour is so important. That's why the Elixir, the 30-day challenge, is such a good building block for, you know, I recently took it on, and the days that I miss, and I miss days, I'm not perfect. We all do. But I make a lot of good decisions throughout the day. I just miss days sometimes in that I didn't feel good when I woke up, and I didn't get my Elixir in me right away because I had to rush somewhere, you know, and I got my Elixir in later, and then I noticed I was in a bad mood, or I noticed I wasn't feeling good, that I had, you know, an acid stomach. You're right, the first hour of the day, being relaxed, having a time to meditate. Let's go into morning rituals. I exercise when I wake up in the morning. I go for a run, and then I either have my shroom latte before or after, and my Elixir either before or after. I can take them on either sides of the run, but I run. And then I also, when I first wake up, I'm in a meditative state for the first 5 or 10 minutes. I drink some water, and ideally when I drink that water, I take my Elixir. But yeah, for me, it's wake up, but not jump out of bed, meditate for a little bit in bed. My cat always comes and lays on my chest, and I get to meditate with her. She's like a sweet, like unconditional love, because I don't, you know, have any family down here, but my cat is my daughter right now. My daughter.
It's unconditional, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. She's a year old. I adopted her last year from a place, from a parking lot in Kendall area. I threw a friend, and it just happened magically. And she in March during quarantine, and it's been the most magical thing, along with my girlfriend, to come in my life this year, because they've both brought me so much love. I already had a lot of self-love, but to have that external love from a cat that is so attentive to me, she literally is always with me. She doesn't want to ever leave me. She's like my therapy animal, and she's super vocal, and she's very sweet, and I've given her so much love. That love reflects back then in how she treats me. Instead of, being gone all the time, ignoring her, I take her to the park every couple of days. I, always am talking with her. And my girlfriend, I mean, I don't even know where to begin, how much that has brought my life into a much higher place of where I want to be, versus living a single life for the last 5 years. So I'm just super happy myself. And I think that that's the key is, you got to start with yourself. And then you got to also, you'll attract it. And then, like I was saying, I think I got a little carried away there, but morning routines. I wake up and I go for a run after I meditate, and then I eat my healthy breakfast and go to work. How about give us a snapshot of what your morning's like, Luis?
Man, I wake up in the morning. Like I said, I have my glass of water. Okay. So I have my glass of water first. Then I jump straight into the elixir. So I jump straight into feeding my body. Your body's trying to detoxify when you get up in the morning anyways, right? You wake up and the first thing you do is use the bathroom. So, your body's trying to detoxify. So if your body's talking to you and letting you know, hey, it's time to detoxify, why don't you help it? Because that's what it's trying to do. So I give it more water. And then right after that, I drink my elixir. Okay, and then I give it some time, and after my elixir, I'm assuming you've heard of She Legit?
Yes, of course.
So I take She Legit tea. Okay.
So for those that don't know, that's a mineral that comes from the earth, from the mountains, and it can't be organic. We used to have it in our elixir. It's a black tar-like substance, and you can put it either in like tea or in your mouth directly, and it is loaded with minerals and antioxidants, and it's from basically places like Peru and the Himalayan mountains. It only occurs, I guess, it's broken down plant material that becomes basically a black tar. It is not certified organic, and that's why we don't have it right now, but it's one of my personal favorites for
that's good to know.
Yeah, we hit a roadblock where we had it in the original elixir when it first came out in 2016 for the first year, but it was like a 93% organic product at that point, or 95%. It couldn't say USDA organic. It only say made with organic ingredients. But we are obsessed with She Legit. In fact, I'm going to get myself some as soon as I can. And hopefully someday Live Ultimate has some, because it's literally probably the most mineral-rich substance on the earth.
That and sea moss. That and sea moss.
That and sea moss? Okay.
Sea moss. Sea moss is, so I take sea moss, one time during the day too. So I take some sea moss that I order from this dude, and he harvested himself in St.
It's raw. It's like is it like in its like natural state?
It's
like
natural state, and he actually showed the videos on YouTube of him harvesting it and everything from the ocean. So it's like, so for the people who are watching and don't know what sea moss is sort of like a seaweed, and you harvest it, and then what I do is that I turn it into gel. So you put it. You wash it up a little bit to take out a little bit of the salt or whatever, and then you put it in you leave it sitting in water for a few hours, and then you just blend it and it turns into a gel. And that gel you can put it in your shakes, you can put it in whatever, and it's 102 minerals. There's how many minerals are there? There's 100 and something minerals available.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly.
Sea moss has, I think, like 90 something minerals of the 100 and something minerals that our body needs, or that. So, and She Legit, I think, is around 80 something. So those two are an awesome thing to add on. But for me, I'm just in love with mushrooms, man. I'm just in love with mushrooms. Every time I take in the mushrooms, it's like I become a superhero, man.
I love that. Let's talk about mushrooms. This is the last 4 minutes, so let's talk about the mushrooms. Ultimate shrooms, man. I mean, I feel the same way. I feel like it turns me into a super athlete. It gets me, my brain just turns on. And some people say at first that it's so much, but you got to be ready for it.
I started doing live videos, like I was never able to do live videos. So I don't know, maybe I'm just, but I thank friends that gave me, you know, the boost to actually do this, and my wife for supporting me and everybody, and Vicky. But you know, I thank mushrooms, because every time I take the mushrooms, it's like poof, it takes you. But you know, a lot of people are taking mushrooms, and what happens is if they're eating a certain way, all it's doing is pretty much detoxifying the stuff that they're putting in. So that's why they don't feel the large effects of mushroom, because they're just actually detoxifying the stuff that they're putting in.
Sure. Or if you drink too much coffee, you're not going to feel it as much either, because if you're like taking 10 cups of coffee a day, that also calcifies and causes your adrenal glands to be fatigued. It causes you to be acidic. And it absolutely probably causes calcification, because it's basically an inflammatory response that your body is having to food, and, you know, things like alcohol and sugar and dairy and coffee and the things that we know have to be in super small amounts. You know, mushrooms are, I think, so fascinating because they are good for nutrition and for your brain and for your immune system, but they can also be used for things like building materials now and clothing. I mean, they can clean the soil. They can, wow, I'm just so, yeah, what else any other mushroom facts you want to share in this last couple of minutes, Luis?
Not really, man, but I do want to talk about with like my wife and a lot of people that get headaches, right? They wait too long to eat and they get headaches, or they get really hungry to the point that they get in a bad mood. They get hangry, right? So, you know, I don't know if it happened to you, but once I switched over to plants, I never got hangry again, ever. I just, you know, I get hungry, but I don't get that nasty hunger where I'm like in a bad mood if I don't get a plate of food.
Sure.
It doesn't happen that way. Ever since I started taking superfoods and I started taking my plants, I never get in a bad mood when I wait too long to eat. And my wife has never gotten a headache again. She used to get headaches if she would wait 3 hours to eat. And she's never gotten a headache again once she started. And we've been on Live Ultimate, shrooms, and elixir nonstop daily. When I say nonstop, every single day since March, April, when we started, man.
Wow. That shows consistency. Well, you know, I think that's a powerful way for us to end here, you know, in the next 2 minutes. Instagram only gives us 60 minutes, I think. So, is that, you know, if you at first feel like, oh my God, like I don't feel good when I take the mushrooms, or which we rarely hear, by the way, but every once in a while someone says it causes some pressure in the head, or it makes them feel too energetic. Some people once in a while say that they don't feel it, and those people I think are people that drink too much coffee, in my opinion. But from what I've heard and seen, or they just aren't receptive because potentially their diet or something. But 99% of people say they feel it within the first 5 minutes. And you got to get through the first couple of weeks. Your body is going to go through a detoxification process, and then it's going to fall in love with everything, and you're going to feel like you're saying, like a superhuman. So Luis, it was great to have you today. I mean, Instagram, I think, is going to kick us off here any minute. But any closing thoughts to send to the audience here? You've been very inspiring to us today.
Man, I just want to send much love to everybody, and just, you know, all I can say is self-love, and just, you know, happiness is love, and happiness and just, you know, getting in touch with our identity is what we need to do so that we can grow. So it's all about self-love. It's all about cleansing the mind, cleansing the gut, and cleansing your heart by meditating, by connecting to nature, by connecting to nature and real food and love. And that'll lead you, you know, to mental clarity. And that mental clarity will catapult you to where you want to be. That is the answer to happiness, in my opinion.
Absolutely. It's a journey, right?
Yes, sir.
It's a journey, and it's not something that you can just fix quickly. If there's something wrong, you got to work on it, and you got to meditate, and you got to explore, and you got to, you know, seek out great teachers. I love all the topics we've had today.
Yeah, man. Me too.
Sounds like you've got some really great influences in your life that are been mentoring you in the form of these leaders in the world, like Jim Quick and Robert Kiyosaki, and the other people that you mentioned, Grant Cardone, and I forget, Dr. Shiva. We had some great shout outs today to your family, to your wife and your niece. And do you want to give any shout outs to your team real quick with Live Ultimate? I know Vicky, Yuli.
Yeah, so I mentioned Yuli. I mean, it's great to be here. I haven't really gotten into. I've been doing a lot of the investing part, and you know, a lot of things happened in 2020, man, for me, and a lot of good things happened in 2020. So it all came. You know, you ask, and then the universe all of a sudden says, okay, now you're ready. You know, in 2020, just everything just started coming about. I started doing live videos. I got with Live Ultimate, and so there's a lot of things going on. I started investing again. So I'm trying to put it all together to see where I fit and how I can just help humanity in my own way and share my light, you know?
Awesome. Well, we're so happy to have you as part of our family and our mindful movement, Luis. I'm going to have you back on in a couple of months. I like to have my guests come back every 3 or 4 months and give us updates and continue the conversation. If you ever want to do an IG live on your page, I'd love to keep the conversation going. And thanks for all you shared today. It's been an incredible story of how you can overcome pain and how you can overcome, you know, mental issues and physical issues, spiritual issues by love and by nutrition and all those categories you talked about that are important for our balance and our abundance. So have a great rest of your day, Luis, and happy Wellness Wednesday, everyone.
You too, brother.
Okay.
Happy Wellness, everybody.
All right, guys. See you next week. Bye.